Okay. The next one has been an interesting one for the UTest group. We can see that there's a growing elderly population. There are simple techniques that can be used to help brain and performance, especially with aging. And I think one way to do that is to present personal photos as a way to preserve memories within the brain. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to the team at Dynamic Memory Solutions.
Thank you so much. Can I confirm that I'm sharing the correct? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to talk to you today about hippocamera. So we all know someone who's experiencing memory loss, whether it's through a disease like dementia or through the normal aging process. For this person, the specific details of recent events quickly fade away and are lost forever. So for example, if you or I were to meet up with friends for a coffee, we would remember details like who was there, what we talked about, and the plans that we made to get together in the future. But someone experiencing memory loss will remember only the vaguest of details, if anything at all. They will lose those unique elements that make this experience different from all the other times that we've had coffee with friends. And these unique memories make up who we are as individuals. Their loss can impact one's confidence, leaving them feeling isolated from others, disconnected from the events of their lives, and disconnected from their identity as a person. Memory loss is a huge concern, with over 1/3 of retired individuals reporting that dementia is one of their greatest fears. 1 in 10 individuals over 65 years of age currently live with dementia, costing the US and Canadian healthcare systems a combined $300 billion annually. And what's more is that we are on the brink of a crisis, with these numbers projected to rise as the baby boomer generation starts to hit old age. There is an urgent need for scalable interventions that stave off memory loss before dementia occurs. To understand how we can devise a solution to this problem, we need to consider how memory is affected by aging and dementia. Specifically, we have a seahorse-shaped structure in our brains called the hippocampus, and this is critical to preserving rich memories for events from our recent past. And unfortunately, the hippocampus shrinks with age and dementia, with the rate of loss accelerating after age 60. With this in mind, we developed a digital reminiscence platform called Hippocamera that is designed based on how the brain works. Hippocamera uses smartphone technology to mimic how the hippocampus supports the acquisition and retention of new memories. It's an easy-to-use, non-invasive tool that can compensate for hippocampal damage in aging and dementia, allowing our users to remember the events of their lives that would otherwise be forgotten. For the past 6 years, we've been working to develop and validate Hippocamera. Our team brings together award-winning memory scientists from 3 Tier 1 universities, the University of Toronto, Johns Hopkins, and Florida State University. We've partnered with a group of business professionals who bring a track record of health company successes. So what is Hippocamera? It's a tool that allows users to record dynamic multimodal memory cues and then replay them in a speeded and contextually linked fashion, similar to mechanisms in the hippocampus that serve to consolidate new memories. These 2 straightforward functions of record and replay work on any modern smartphone, and our users find Hippocamera fun and easy to use, with both older adults and individuals with memory impairments able to operate it without supervision. It's incredibly simple. During everyday life, if a user has an event that they wish to remember, they follow a guided multi-step process to record a powerful memory cue. They later replay their cues using an optimized study schedule and key principles known to promote learning. Although simple at first glance, underneath this straightforward interface, we've integrated decades of research from neuroscience and cognitive psychology to ensure that every aspect of its functioning is informed by science. Here's a list of just some of the core memory principles that Hippocamera leverages to optimize memory gain. As scientists, it is imperative that we rigorously validate the memory benefits of Hippocamera. Across numerous lab-based studies, as well as field trials conducted with international commercial partners, we've amassed the largest sample size of its kind in the world. And these trials have reliably shown robust and long-lasting memory enhancement. Not only did hippocamera make memory better, but it also increased the positive feelings associated with these memories. And functional magnetic resonance imaging showed that hippocamera sharpened activity in the hippocampus and a network of brain regions associated with autobiographical memory. And finally, a control study showed a huge memory benefit for hippocamera events relative to those that had been captured and replayed through standard smartphone usage. This is because hippocamera cues are richer and recorded with more intentionality. So there's clearly a lot of evidence behind hippocamera. How does it differentiate itself in the marketplace? Well, for starters, it specifically targets the type of memory that is lost in aging and Alzheimer's disease, and that's memory for the events of our lives. There are brain training apps out there like Lumosity that can improve a user's performance on a specific computer game. However, these improvements do not generalize beyond that specific computer game. So these brain training apps don't improve the aspect of cognition that people care about. In addition, hippocamera is different from other life logging technologies like SenseCam and Narrative Clip, or even platforms like Facebook and Google that collect and log images and videos of one's life. These existing life logging technologies don't focus on improving memory, and they don't implement scientific principles known to optimize memory retention. Ours is the first and only neuroscience-guided digital memory aid, and we've designed it with a simple and intuitive user interface so that even those with memory problems can use it independently. We have 3 primary channels for our product. First, we plan on working with insurers and healthcare providers who are creating large-scale digital delivery platforms for products and services. Second, we will partner with residential living facilities and adult day services to provide innovative reminiscence programs. And lastly, we plan on going to direct to consumer. There's been a shift in attitudes toward digital health products, and hippocamera differentiates itself here by providing an enjoyable experience and scientifically validated claims. I'm going to go into each of these channels in a bit more detail. Some of you might have personal experience with this first channel through your benefits provider. So for example, you might have an app or a website through your insurance company where you can access a variety of healthcare tools and services that are tailored to your particular profile. There are tens of millions of North Americans who already have access to these online marketplaces. So what can hippocamera offer here? Well, by providing an easily scalable tool to improve memory function, we fill a gap in the services that are currently available on these platforms. Our offering is not only unique, but it addresses an issue that is of great concern to their customers. So hippocamera is going to differentiate the provider and make it more relevant to their customers. From a revenue model perspective, we see the institution paying an annual fee of several $1,000s a year, and then a monthly user fee on top of that. One reason we're really excited about this channel is that we've already had a lot of inbound interest with almost no business development on our part. We're scientists first and foremost, and we weren't interested in building a product without a sound scientific backing to it. So our initial years of effort were largely in the lab. And as a result, I believe we now have the world's best digital memory augmentation technology. And to be honest with you, because we were so focused on the science, we weren't doing a lot of business development, but it came to us. Long story short, some of the hippocamera scientific results got picked up by the media, and I did a live interview on CTV Evening News. This interview made its way to a U of T alum in Silicon Valley, and he brokered a paid proof of concept trial last year with one of Japan's largest insurance companies. This company is huge, with a 100 million R&D budget and over 10 million policyholders. Now, Japan has the world's oldest population and is facing a major caregiver shortage. So there's a huge push to develop and distribute digital health solutions. The POC trial was a success, showing robust memory gains and user enjoyment, and we're on their roadmap with a plan for partnership in the works. For the institutional channels, we're focused on residential living facilities and home care providers. There are tens of thousands of these in North America, and they're highly concentrated in the top chains who have 30 to 40% of the market. Now, why would they be interested? Well, hippocamera would bring an evidence-based cognitive improvement platform to their residents and to their in-house reminiscence programs. And this is going to add value to their residents and improve the institution's offerings to patients and their families. Given the growing prevalence of dementia, institutions are increasingly looking for tools and innovations that are focused on memory improvement that are going to differentiate their service offerings in this space. So for example, we were approached by a large North American residential living facility to integrate Hippocamera into their programming for residents. So we developed the Memory Coach program, in which residents capture memories with Hippocamera and then get together in small groups to share their memories and talk about what they did over the past week. And this is all facilitated by a memory coach who completes a short training program that we've developed and can easily scale. And our first pilot was a big success. Participants enjoyed sharing their memories and felt more connected to their community. For the third channel, we're taking the app direct to consumer, like other health care apps that you might be familiar with, such as Luminosity or Calm. So there are millions of aging people who are concerned about their memory, and we have one of the very few scientifically validated tools. And the cognitive improvement global market is huge, growing at 30% annually and expected to reach $11.4 billion by 2025. Our next steps here are to start testing and learning which customer acquisition channels are the most effective. So clearly the IP behind this is key to being able to commercialize successfully. And we filed the PCT and nationalized it in several key markets. And we're going to continue to do this as we make additional discoveries and improve the technology. We've received $1.15 million in grant funding from Canada's most competitive research grant competitions, as well as a number of prestigious awards to recognize us as individual scientists. We've successfully completed 2 commercial pilots, and along the way, we've received a lot of organic media coverage, including being featured on the front page of the Globe and Mail. There are so few accessible and effective memory rehabilitation tools out there. So when we have one that works, it generates a lot of media interest because there's so much hunger for these sorts of solutions. The science that backs up the workings of the Hippocamera has been published in multiple scientific journals, and we've just submitted our first publication of what I hope will be many, validating the memory-enhancing properties of the platform itself. And I expect that when this publication hits, we're going to get a lot more earned media. We've identified 1.5 million in terms of business and product development needs over the next 24 months. So far, the business has been funded by the sweat equity of the team. The R&D has been grant funded, and we've received a small amount of revenue from pilots. For this round, which we would expect to be in the form of a safe note, the founders are prepared to invest at least $250,000 personally. We hope to be successful as part of the UTest process, and we look forward to bringing in additional investors from our networks and those of our business advisors. We've charted a path over the next 18 months that's going to see steady progress in terms of the science, including exciting projects that bring Hippocamera to other aspects of cognition, such as wayfinding and maximizing the memory enhancements that occur during sleep. In terms of the product, we have plans to optimize user engagement, and our first hire is going to be a head of product. This is going to be then followed by a head of sales who will help us develop and test the 3 commercial channels that I outlined. And we're going to steadily add to the team as needed. I want to close with some words from our participants whose feedback after using Hippocamera has really been the inspiration for taking this to market. Participants report not only benefits to their memory, but also to their confidence, their mindfulness, and their motivation. Hippocamera brings people back to the rich moments that otherwise would be lost. Remember, our memories make us who we are. And so with Hippocamera, we can create a meaningful difference in people's lives by giving them back this aspect of themselves. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to taking any questions.
Morgan, when I first learned about your group back in June, the thing that came to my mind was I've been trying to get my parents to use all of these different apps for quite some time. There is clearly substance in what you're doing. And I guess my question for you is, how do you have so much confidence in the solution that you've put together?
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. So, at our core, we are memory scientists, and we have taken the gold standard assessments in the field of memory to validate every aspect of its functioning. So, for example, we apply something called the autobiographical interview, in which we test people on their Hippocamera memories relative to control baseline memories that were captured, but were never replayed with a HIPAA camera. And then we assess these memories. We go through it line by line to characterize the quality and the nature. And we find that it's specifically those event details that are enhanced. And then we look at the brain. So we scan people while they're reliving these memories. And we look at this over long delays. So after we've taken HIPAA camera away, 3 months later, we still find that these memories linger. And over the past 5 years, we've amassed the world's largest sample in autobiographical memory assessments in the digital memory augmentation space.
Great. Next question. You've described 3 commercial channels in your pitch, which might be a lot for a small company to tackle for obvious reasons. What's the most important market?
Yes. So I think for starters, it's really that healthcare insurer online marketplace. And that's because we already have traction there. We have a roadmap, we have a partner, and we're ready to go. And, you know, it might seem like 3 channels is a lot for a small company like ours, but I want to emphasize that they're really a lot more similar than you think. The product isn't that different across the 3. So it's not like we're going to be torn in all sorts of different directions.
Got it. Next question. Do you foresee massive marketing costs, or do you have a different plan to get it out there? And I think that speaks volume on how these B2C apps need that viral traction to really get to that launch velocity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so this is something that we plan to test and learn. We've already had a lot of traction with almost no business development on our part. You know, in terms of the D2C channel, we want to hire somebody who has a lot of experience in this space with digital market and user acquisition. And we don't have to go forward with all 3 channels. But that's why we're raising money, to figure out which one is going to be the best and which one's going to stick.
Got it. Next question. What could the potential partnership with a Japanese company look like? And I think, you know, to add on to that, how did you come in contact with a Japanese company?
Yeah, so I did this interview, this live interview on CTV News, and then it got picked up by the the U of T Alumni Association, which then blasted it out. And I got a cold call from Alan Raby, who works in Silicon Valley, and he has a lot of collaborations with Japanese insurance companies, and he brokered this partnership. And there's a number of different ways that it could go. We could be white labeled into an existing platform, a caregiving platform. It could also be a licensing model, an annual fee, and then a per user model on top of that. But the market is huge there, absolutely huge. And the appetite is really remarkable.
Got it. Next question. Can you describe a little bit more about your filed IP? Is this, you know, an algorithm that you filed? And obviously you don't have to get into the actual, you know, secret sauce, or is this more of a general concept around, you know, brain performance and photo recognition?
It covers the concept. So it covers our algorithm, but it also covers this concept. So there's certain aspects of it that are non-obvious, I believe is the terminology. So it's taking these aspects of hippocampal functioning and implementing them into the application. So it covers the record, the replay, all of the ways in which we've combined this into making these really powerful cues. So hippocamera, the IP behind it, is really protected.
Got it. 2-part question next. Have you explored the amount of demand from the user to the insurance company? Is there a lot of interest from users to their insurance provider that will drive insurance companies to make a purchase decision?
To be honest, we haven't explored that. But I know that there is a lot of interest in memory enhancement. So I don't see why, if you know, they're with these online marketplaces, which are huge platforms, easy to access, I don't see why that, you know, making it readily available, why that interest wouldn't work there. But, you know, these are all things that we want to test.
Awesome. And then one question that I have specifically is, you know, could you tell us a little bit more about your team? Like, what skills do you currently have? What do you think you need to bring in, you know, in terms of next potential hires? You know, what are the kind of the missing gaps?
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, if I may say so, I think our science team is really unassailable. We have ideas that are coming out at a pace that currently the product iteration and development just can't keep up with. So our first hire is going to be this head of product, who's going to work closely with the science and the R&D coming out of our lab and bring it over to the app. We're currently working with an external development fund, which has had a lot of advantages But eventually, pretty soon, we want to bring some of that expertise in-house just so we can move a lot faster there. And then we're going to make some hires to the BD side to help Luke Carsley, who's currently leading the business development, but to maintain and develop these models and to test the customer acquisition and to bring in digital marketing expertise.
Awesome. Morgan, I've already gotten a couple of contacts that want to have a conversation with you, so I'll send that to you after the presentation. Thank you very much. Excellent work.
Thank you.